Hey everyone! Welcome to Anime Dreams. Today, we're diving into part 2 of our fanfic series, What If Yugito Became Naruto's First Love? Disclaimer, all content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. Full credit and rights go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Alright, let's get started. 1 month later. Naruto emerged from his room with a bright smile, ready for another day of training with Bee and Yugito. Over the past month, he had grown accustomed to life in Kumagakure and found himself appreciating the village in ways he never had with Konoha. The people of Kumo welcomed him warmly, his cheerful demeanor earning him a special place in their hearts. Bee and Yugito had taken on the responsibility of training and mentoring him, as Naruto hadn't attended the academy like other shinobi. While Bee's methods were more relaxed, Yugito was a firm and disciplined instructor. Naruto couldn't forget the intense training sessions she put him through, especially the grueling physical exercises that left him sore for days. Despite the challenge, he never complained. He had come to admire Yugito's nurturing side when they weren't training. Their bond deepened as Yugito taught him about chakra and helped him learn his first jutsu. Bee later introduced Naruto to chakra paper to determine his elemental affinities. To everyone's surprise, Naruto possessed affinities for wind, Fuuten, lightning, Raiten, and fire, Katen. This made his training even more exciting. Yugito decided to teach him a Katen-based jutsu, conjuring fire constructs shaped like cats, which could be launched at enemies. Naruto, however, modified the technique to create fox-shaped constructs, a gesture of respect toward the Nine Tails. Naruto's relationship with Kurama, the Nine Tails, had also grown friendlier. Kurama, amused by Naruto's personality and persistence, decided to teach him the Shadow Clone Jutsu, acknowledging his determination and forgiving nature. However, this newfound skill did not escape Yugito's notice, and her intensified training left Naruto questioning whether he should thank or resent Kurama for it. After waking up, Naruto approached the bathroom door cautiously, not wanting to repeat an awkward incident from the past. Knocking lightly, he called out, "Yugito-chan, are you in there?" Silence greeted him. Sighing in relief, he entered, quickly showered, and prepared for the day. Training had not only improved his combat abilities but also shaped his physique, making him stronger and more confident. Dressed in a dark red muscle shirt and fitted black pants, with the twin swords Bee had gifted him strapped to his back, Naruto headed to the kitchen. There, Yugito was quietly enjoying her breakfast, a combination of soup, rice, and fish. Naruto found her love for fish amusing but assumed it had something to do with her connection to the two tails. "Good morning, Yugito-chan," he greeted warmly as he sat down. "Good morning, Naruto-kun," Yugito replied with a small smile. "Are you ready to continue training today?" Naruto nodded enthusiastically, and the two ate their breakfast in comfortable silence. Afterward, they tidied up and headed outside for their routine. Naruto began his warm-up by running laps around the training grounds while Yugito stretched nearby. He couldn't help but notice how extraordinarily flexible she was during some of her stretches. Curious, Naruto mused aloud to Kurama, how can she even do that? It looks painful. Kurama chuckled, replying, that's the benefit of being a Jinchuriki. Her body has adapted in ways normal humans can't comprehend. Meanwhile, Yugito was having her own internal conversation with Matatabi, the two tails. "Kitten, you should consider pursuing Naruto," Matatabi teased slyly. "He's a fine young man, and you wouldn't want someone else to claim him before you do." Yugito rolled her eyes in frustration. "Why are you so invested in this, Matatabi? He's much younger than me, and I doubt he'd be interested in me that way." Matatabi's mischievous laughter echoed in Yugito's mind. "Oh, come now. You've let him get closer than anyone else. Even Bee and the Raikage don't share the same connection you have with him." Yugito sighed, trying to push the thoughts aside as she finished her stretches and began her sit-ups. "We're not having this discussion, Matatabi," she muttered internally. The two tails, however, simply grinned within her host's subconscious, clearly not done stirring up trouble. Really? I've noticed him sneaking a few glances at you over the past couple of weeks. In fact, he was just looking your way a moment ago, Nibi remarked, causing Yugito to pause mid-motion during her sit-up. Curious, Yugito turned her head slightly to the left, spotting Naruto engrossed in his push-ups. Yet, his gaze didn't seem to be fixed on the ground. Instead, it appeared as though he was intentionally avoiding hers. A faint blush spread across Yugito's cheeks, while Nibi chuckled mischievously from within her mental confines. Halting her exercise, Yugito stood and walked toward Naruto, who had just finished his set and sat down to catch his breath. Taking a seat beside him, she stole a quick glance at his face, her resolve strengthening as she prepared to begin their training session. Alright, Naruto-kun, let's focus on improving your chakra control. Your task is to climb this mountain using only your chakra. Keep at it until B arrives, Yugito instructed, her tone calm but firm. Naruto gave an enthusiastic nod, focusing chakra to his feet before sprinting toward the mountain. Yugito followed suit, a confident smile gracing her face as she effortlessly overtook him. That's not fair, Yugito-chan. Naruto called out, his voice tinged with playful frustration. Yugito glanced over her shoulder, her grin widening. Life's not fair, Naruto-kun, she teased, her pace unyielding. Naruto smirked mischievously, forming a hand seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu! He exclaimed, summoning 8 clones. They immediately executed his plan, forming a human chain that hurled the real Naruto upward at incredible speed. Yugito's eyes widened as the clones and Naruto soared past her. Their gazes met briefly before Naruto smirked and vanished into the clouds above. Seems life is fairer to me than you, Yugito-chan. He quipped, his laughter echoing. Undeterred, Yugito narrowed her eyes and increased the chakra in her feet, surging forward with renewed determination. Naruto relished the rush of the wind against his face as he scaled the mountain. However, his momentum slowed when he encountered an even steeper incline. Carefully adjusting his chakra, he continued upward. Glancing back, he felt a pang of vertigo as he realized how high he'd climbed. Note to self, never look down again, he muttered, steadying his nerves. Suddenly, Yugito's voice broke through the quiet. Naruto-kun, stop. She called out. Naruto halted, allowing her to catch up. Yugito approached with a slight smile, clearly impressed. You've come farther than most Chunin or even some low-level Jonin manage on their first try. That's impressive. But it's time to head back down. The air gets thinner the higher you go, she advised. Naruto beamed at the praise as the two descended together. Yugito couldn't help but smile inwardly as she noticed his determination. He's going to try and conquer this mountain eventually. I shouldn't be surprised. When they reached the base, B was waiting for them with his usual exuberant energy. Yo, I saw you take it on that mountain. You gotta aim higher to get stronger, fools. He rapped, earning nods from both Naruto and Yugito. Turning to B, Yugito inquired, what's the next step? I was planning to review Kage Bunshin with him, but he's clearly mastered that. What should we focus on? B stroked his chin thoughtfully before asking, how's the kid's taijutsu? Yugito smiled softly. He's progressing well. I skipped the academy's flawed style and taught him my Nikko taijutsu instead. Thanks to QB, he's almost as good as I am, she admitted with pride. B's grin widened, making Yugito slightly nervous. Turning to Naruto, B declared, Lil 9, you're ready to become a Genin. Naruto's eyes sparkled with excitement, while Yugito's widened in shock. B, isn't that a bit rushed? Most academy students graduate at 11 or 12. Naruto-kun's only 8. She protested, concerned about the dangers. Come on, Yugi-chan, B countered. I was a Genin at 10, and you were one at 9. Why not Lil 9 at 8? Yugito hesitated, acknowledging the logic. Finally, she turned to Naruto with a kind smile. It's your future, Naruto-kun. What do you want to do? Naruto thought carefully before nodding. I want to become a Genin. he declared confidently. Then it's settled. B announced. Let's take him to bro. The trio made their way to the Raikage's office, where he sat buried in paperwork. He looked up, visibly relieved by the interruption. Finally, a distraction. He muttered. Mabui, his assistant, announced their arrival. As the trio entered, the Raikage greeted them warmly. Naruto, it's been a while. How've you been? Great, Sama, Naruto replied with a respectful bow. The Raikage smiled before shifting his attention to Yugito and B, eager to hear why they'd come. What seems to be the issue? The Raikage inquired, his gaze shifting between B and Yugito. The two exchanged a glance, silently communicating their agreement, before turning back to face him. We believe Naruto-kun is prepared to officially join Kumo as a Genin, Yugito stated firmly. The Raikage arched an eyebrow, his attention dropping to Naruto. Are you certain about this? He's only been with us for just over a month. Yugito and B exchanged another confident nod before gently guiding Naruto forward, their determination evident. Thanks to our rigorous training, he's now stronger than any recent graduate from the academy. The kid's ready for this, no doubt, B said, flashing a thumbs up. The Raikage turned his gaze from Yugito to B, then finally to Naruto. With a smirk, he stood from his desk and approached the blonde. So, you think you're ready to be a Genin? The Raikage asked. Naruto grinned confidently and nodded without hesitation. The Raikage's smirk widened. All right then. Normally, you'd have to wait your turn like every other student, but let's face it, there's nothing normal about you, he said, intending it as a compliment. Naruto caught the tone and nodded eagerly. The Raikage gestured for B and Yugito to join him. Here's how it works, Naruto. The test has 3 stages. First is a written exam. Second, you'll demonstrate your jutsu skills. Finally, you'll spar with either Yugito or B, the Raikage explained. Naruto gave a determined smile as the Raikage called for Mabui. Yes, Raikage-sama? Mabui responded, glancing at Naruto with a kind smile, which he quickly returned. Take Naruto to a testing room and give him the written exam. Apparently, he's aiming to be the youngest Genin in Kumo's history, the Raikage instructed. Mabui chuckled softly before nodding. Follow me, Naruto, she said, taking his hand as they left the room. B and Yugito exchanged amused looks, deciding to wait until Naruto completed his first challenge. Mabui led Naruto to a quiet council room and set a piece of paper and a pencil on the table. All right, Naruto, take your time. There's no rush, she said gently. Naruto nodded and grinned before settling into the chair. Mabui sat across from him, opening a book to pass the time. Naruto scanned the exam questions and chuckled under his breath. Nearly every question was about Kumagakure. Thankfully, his preparation over the past month, aided by Yugito's books, had covered most of the material. With Kyubi offering occasional hints, Naruto swiftly wrote down his answers. In just 20 minutes, he finished and handed the paper to Mabui. I'm done, Mabui-san, Naruto said cheerfully. She nodded, took the paper, and escorted him back to the Raikage's office. Raikage-sama, Naruto has completed the written exam. I'll grade it and return shortly, Mabui said with a bow before leaving. Yugito, B, and the Raikage stood as Naruto grinned at them. All right, time for the jutsu portion. Let's head outside, the Raikage said. The group exited the building and walked to a spacious training field. Once there, the Raikage turned to Naruto. B mentioned your chakra affinities. For this stage, I want you to perform 1 jutsu for each element you possess, the Raikage instructed. Naruto nodded and stepped a safe distance away. With a quick series of hand signs, he began. Wind release, great breakthrough. Naruto called out, sending a powerful gust of wind toward the group. B, Yugito, and the Raikage braced themselves as the force pushed them back a few feet. Raikage signaled for him to continue, though Naruto sheepishly scratched the back of his head. B clapped enthusiastically, while Yugito muttered under her breath, annoyed at her wind-tossed hair. Naruto quickly performed another set of hand signs, channeling lightning into his hand. Lightning release, thunderquake. He shouted, slamming the ground and creating a surge of electricity that rippled outward. The wave stopped just short of the Raikage and the others. B whistled in appreciation while Yugito shot him a suspicious glare. B, we're going to have a chat later about how Naruto knows that technique, Yugito said sweetly, though the underlying tone made B sweat. Raikage chuckled but gestured for Naruto to continue. For his final jutsu, Naruto formed the tiger seal, took a deep breath, and shouted, "Fire release, Demon Fox Fireball." 7 fiery projectiles shaped like foxes shot toward the mountainside, leaving noticeable scorch marks on impact. Slightly winded but proud, Naruto turned to face his audience. "Impressive, Naruto," B praised with a grin. Raikage nodded approvingly. "Now for the last stage, a sparring match. Pick your opponent, Yugito or B. The rules are simple, no ninjutsu or genjutsu, and the fight lasts 1 hour. Use all the skill you've got," Raikage said. Naruto glanced between Yugito and B several times before making his decision. "I choose Yugi-chan," he declared confidently, surprising everyone. Yugito smirked and stepped forward. "Don't expect me to go easy on you just because I like you, Naruto-kun," she teased. Naruto blushed faintly, and Nibi's voice chimed in from within Yugito. "So, you do like him?" The Baiju teased, causing Yugito to flush even more as Naruto prepared himself for the fight ahead. "Not like that, foolish cat," Yugito scolded her Bijou, the two tails, Nibi, who responded with an amused roll of her eyes. Meanwhile, Naruto struggled to suppress a blush as he unsheathed his twin swords. "Bring it on, Yugito-chan. I've always wanted to spar with a cat," Naruto teased, earning a twitch of Yugito's eyebrow. The Raikage and Killer Bee barely managed to stifle their laughter as Yugito smiled challengingly. "Let's see what you've got, Naruto-kun," she replied. Naruto nodded in agreement as the Raikage signaled the start of the match. Without hesitation, Yugito dashed forward with startling speed, delivering a kick that sent Naruto flying. He crashed into the base of a nearby mountain with a pained grunt. "Cats can be quite vicious, Naruto-kun," Yugito said with a smirk, standing confidently in the center of the field. Naruto chuckled as he picked himself up, narrowing his eyes in determination. "Let's see if this owner can tame the cat," Naruto quipped as he channeled chakra to his feet and sprinted toward her. Yugito reacted quickly, but Naruto was faster, appearing in front of her and throwing a punch. She blocked it skillfully with her right hand and spun to counter with a kick aimed at his neck. Naruto ducked just in time, narrowly avoiding the blow. The two engaged in an intense taijutsu exchange, their moves sharp and precise. Observing from the sidelines, the Raikage nodded in approval. "He's doing well. Training with us seems to have paid off," he remarked to B, who grinned with pride. As the fight continued, Yugito was forced to skid back, holding her stomach where Naruto had landed a solid hit. "Sorry, Yugi-chan, but if the cat misbehaves, the owner must discipline it," Naruto teased, earning a chuckle from both Yugito and Nibi. "Don't get cocky," Yugito warned, throwing a kunai. Naruto deflected it with one of his swords, but quickly realized it had been a distraction. He turned, searching for her, only to look up and see a barrage of kunai raining down. Using defensive techniques he'd learned from B, Naruto blocked as many as he could, but several still grazed him, leaving cuts across his arms and legs. One sword slipped from his grasp. Yugito seized the opportunity and rushed toward him, aiming to finish the fight. She closed in with a powerful punch to his face, landing it cleanly. "And that's how a cat asserts dominance," Yugito quipped. However, her satisfaction was short-lived as Naruto's body vanished in a puff of smoke. "Kawarimi no jutsu," she realized, just as she felt the tip of his blade at her back. "And that's how you teach a cat obedience," Naruto said triumphantly. Yugito sighed but raised her hands in surrender. "I concede, Raikage-sama," she announced. The Raikage signaled the end of the match, and both fighters took a brief break to tend to their injuries. 5 minutes later, Naruto, Yugito, and B regrouped with the Raikage, who regarded Naruto with approval. "Well done, Naruto. Mabui gave me your written exam results, and they exceeded expectations. Your performance in both ninjutsu and taijutsu was equally commendable. You've earned this," the Raikage said, pulling out a Kumo headband. Naruto's eyes lit up as he accepted it, tying it proudly around his forehead. "Welcome to the ranks of the Genin, Naruto Uzumaki," the Raikage declared. B clapped him on the back, and Yugito offered him a smile. The Raikage then addressed the three of them. "This next step has been planned for a while. From today onward, you three will form a team. B, you'll lead as Team Jinchuriki's captain." Naruto, Yugito, and B exchanged surprised looks before nodding in agreement. The Raikage smirked, watching them leave. As he returned to his paperwork, his expression darkened slightly. Now that he's a shinobi, it's only a matter of time before Konoha takes notice. If Naruto decides to leave, I won't stop him, but if he stays, I'll protect him with everything I have. Naruto, Yugito, and B left the mansion, their steps purposeful yet relaxed. As they walked, Naruto's fingers brushed against the metal plating of his headband, a subtle but meaningful gesture. Yugito and B exchanged knowing smiles, sharing in his quiet pride at officially becoming a shinobi of Kumagakure. Both were equally surprised yet pleased that the three of them had been assigned to the same team. As they made their way back to Yugito's house, her sharp eyes caught sight of a group of academy girls stealing glances at Naruto. The attention made Yugito instinctively narrow her gaze, her expression slightly tense. Within her mind, the two-tailed beast, Nibi, seized the opportunity to tease her. "See what I mean, kitten? They're already swooning over him. You'd better make your move while he's still single. You could use someone like him in your life," Nibi purred mischievously. Yugito sighed, dismissing the beast's playful provocations, unwilling to entertain such thoughts at the moment. Meanwhile, Naruto had his own distraction as he noticed several male villagers openly admiring Yugito. His usually bright demeanor darkened ever so slightly as he unconsciously narrowed his eyes. "Jealous, are we, Kit?" The Kyuubi's voice echoed within his mind, its tone laced with amusement. Naruto's cheeks reddened as he stammered, struggling to deny the accusation. The fox's sly laughter only deepened his flustered state. B, observing the silent exchange of jealousy between the two blondes, smirked knowingly, amused by the unspoken tension they both tried to suppress. After a few more minutes of walking, the trio finally arrived at Yugito's house. Naruto let out a sigh of relief and promptly sank into the comfort of the soft carpet, savoring the momentary peace. Naruto let out a sigh of relief. Finally, a break. "Yugito-chan's really something," he muttered, watching Yugito rest on the couch with a serene smile. B, leaning casually against the wall, seemed oddly relaxed, prompting Naruto and Yugito to exchange bemused glances. "Why does he look tired? He didn't even do anything," both thought silently as they continued to recuperate. Despite the momentary reprieve, their baiju stirred within them, each pondering their host's connection with the other. Back in Konoha, Hiruzen Sarutobi sat at his desk, burdened by a growing sense of despair. The search for Naruto had been officially called off, and many assumed the young Jinchuriki to be dead. Though the Hokage refused to accept such a grim conclusion, the absence of Naruto's ever-optimistic presence weighed heavily on his heart. His hand paused over the endless paperwork as a swirl of leaves heralded the arrival of Jiraiya, who entered the room wearing a stern expression. "I take it there's no news of Naruto-kun?" Sarutobi asked, his voice heavy with resignation. Jiraiya's narrowed eyes spoke volumes, and the Sandaime sighed deeply. "I'll keep searching for him," Jiraiya vowed, his voice filled with determination. "I don't care how long it takes." And Sarutobi, "If I discover that anyone, shinobi or civilian, was responsible for his disappearance, I won't hold back." Sarutobi rose to his feet, his tone firm. "Jiraiya, I cannot condone harm against the people of Konoha based on mere assumptions. This village. But before he could finish, Jiraiya unleashed a powerful wave of killing intent, silencing the building as its occupants trembled under the weight of his fury. My godson is out there somewhere, Jiraiya growled. He's probably alone, starving, or worse. I failed him, but I will find him. And if anyone here had a hand in his suffering, I will make them pay. Not even you can stop me. With those parting words, Jiraiya vanished in a gust of wind. Sarutobi sank back into his chair, removing his Hokage hat as he gazed out the window. I'm getting too old for this, he murmured, his eyes distant. Naruto-kun, where are you? Back in Kumo. Yugito leaned back, trying to ignore the incessant voice of her Baiju. Come on, kitten, Nibi teased. You know you like him. So what if he's younger? I'd bet my tails he likes you too. Just one date, what's the harm? Yugito sighed, her frustration evident. Nibi, even if I considered it, I doubt Naruto-kun would want to be with me. He has too much ahead of him. I don't want to hold him back, she murmured, keeping her voice low. The two-tailed Baiju, uncharacteristically persistent, pressed on. At this rate, you're going to end up old and alone. Honestly, you've turned down every decent guy who's asked you out. Just take a chance. Yugito closed her eyes, willing herself to relax. I'm sorry, Nibi. If Naruto-kun wanted to ask me out, I'd consider it, but that's not likely. Nibi let out an exasperated sigh but decided to drop the matter, for now. Just as the room fell silent, Naruto approached. Yugito-chan, he began, his voice tentative. Yugito lowered her arms and glanced at him, curiosity flickering in her gaze. Yes, Naruto-kun? Is something wrong? She asked. Naruto hesitated, a faint blush spreading across his cheeks as he avoided her gaze. Both Kyubi and Nibi perked up in interest, while B raised an eyebrow, watching the interaction unfold. Summoning his courage, Naruto looked up and spoke quickly. Yugito-chan, will you go out with me? The world seemed to stop. B's glasses slipped from his face. Kyubi and Nibi stared in stunned silence, while Yugito froze, struggling to process what she had just heard. What? Yugito-chan, would you like to go out with me? Naruto asked, his voice clear and sincere. Time seemed to freeze for everyone in the room. B's glasses fell off in surprise, while both Kyubi and Nibi stared, their mouths agape. Yugito stood motionless, attempting to process the unexpected words Naruto had just spoken. What? She finally managed, her voice tinged with confusion, while Naruto offered a mischievous grin. The room fell into complete silence as the three Baiju and B waited for Naruto to clarify his words. Nibi was the first to break the silence, practically jumping in her cage. Do it, kitten. He just asked you out. Now claim him as your mate. Nibi shouted eagerly. Yugito remained speechless for a moment, while Naruto gently placed his hand on her forehead, concerned by her sudden silence. Yugito-chan, are you all right? Your face is bright red, Naruto noted, his voice laced with concern. Yugito gasped, her finger pointing shakily toward him as she asked in a half-accusatory tone. Why you want me to go out with you? Naruto smiled and nodded as if the request were the simplest thing in the world. Then, with the same innocent grin, he turned toward B and pointed at him. I also want B-sensei to go out with me, Naruto said cheerfully. Nibi raised an eyebrow in confusion, puzzled by Naruto's ambiguous request. Yugito's gaze shifted to B, perplexed by Naruto's words. Both Jinchuriki turned to face the younger one as Naruto looked back at them with his usual innocent expression. What? I just thought we could all celebrate me graduating and joining Team Jinchuriki together, Naruto explained, oblivious to the mix-up. Yugito and B exchanged shocked glances, processing the unexpected twist of events. Nibi, however, chuckled at Naruto's childlike innocence, while Kyubi shared in the amusement. He's still just a kid after all, Nibi mused, settling down with a soft sigh. Well, I guess I can tease kitten for a few more years. Yugito finally smiled, standing up as she understood Naruto's meaning. "Ah, so that's what you meant by go out with you," she said, with a playful yet relieved tone. Naruto raised an eyebrow in confusion. "What did you think I meant?" he asked innocently. Bee let out a nervous laugh, while Yugito quickly averted her gaze, unsure whether to explain the misunderstanding. Naruto, still looking confused, shrugged and decided to head outside. As Naruto left the room, Yugito and Bee both sighed in relief, slumping back into their seats. "You know, Yugi-chan, I don't think I've ever seen you blush so hard before," Bee teased, nudging her lightly. "I don't think I've ever seen you blush over a confession before." Yugito sighed again and turned her head toward Bee. "It wasn't a confession, Kirabai. It was just an invitation for both of us. That's all," she explained. Bee shrugged, unfazed, before heading outside to join Naruto, while Yugito remained seated on the couch. "You're not going to let me live this down, are you?" she asked, a resigned tone creeping into her voice as she addressed her tenant. Nibi chuckled softly but shook her head. "Sorry, kitten, but this is too good to pass up. I've got a little entertainment now," she said, her voice full of mischief. Yugito huffed, rolling her eyes, and stood up, deciding to find the others. Outside, the yard was empty, and Yugito wondered where the two had gone. She glanced up and heard shouts in the distance. "Bee-sensei, you cheater. You said you wouldn't try to attack me while we raced to the top," Naruto yelled. Yugito gasped as she heard Bee's laughter in response. "Come on, you fool. You gotta have fun with what you can get," Bee shouted back. Yugito smiled, shaking her head. Channeling chakra to her feet, she took off, running up the mountainside, eager to catch up with her friends. Naruto and Bee laughed as they ascended the mountain trail. Naruto quickly formed hand seals, his right hand crackling with lightning energy. "Raiten, Kaminari no Jishin," Naruto shouted, directing the attack toward the mountain. Bee's eyes widened as multiple rocks shot toward him. With a confident smirk, he leapt across the rocks, effortlessly evading the full force of Naruto's strike. Naruto let out a mild curse, but couldn't help laughing as the two continued their sprint. As they reached the spot where Yugito had once halted him, Naruto grinned, noting that he and Bee had surpassed her previous position. Sweat beaded on Naruto's brow, but he pushed forward, urging himself and Bee to keep up the pace. "Don't leave me out of this fun." Yugito's voice rang out, and both men turned to see her closing in rapidly. Bee grinned, and in an instant, all three disappeared into the clouds above the mountain. Yugito, using her impressive speed, soon caught up with the duo. She faced them, an amused glint in her eyes. "You realize this is dangerous, right?" she asked, her tone both challenging and playful. Naruto and Bee chuckled. With a grin, Naruto closed the distance between them. "Come on, Yugito-chan, lighten up and enjoy yourself a little," he called out, tossing a smoke bomb in her direction. Yugito's eyes widened in surprise, and she quickly shielded her face as the smoke enveloped her. Through the haze, she saw Naruto draw his swords, and in response, she unsheathed a kunai, her stance shifting to one of readiness. "All right, Naruto-kun, I'm in," Yugito said, a secretive smile tugging at her lips. With a swift movement, she turned, facing the bottom of the mountain, where the mist obscured the view below. Naruto and Bee slowed to a stop as Yugito, her chakra flowing into her feet, turned back to face them, her determination clear. "Last one to the bottom buys dinner," Yugito called out quickly as she sprinted toward the base of the mountain. Naruto's eyes widened, and before he could react, Bee let out a hearty laugh and followed suit. Cursing under his breath, Naruto grinned and joined the chase. Yugito, filled with the thrill of the race, maintained the lead. As she glanced over her shoulder, she saw Bee throw a kunai in her direction. With quick reflexes, Yugito dodged the projectile, pushing herself to run even faster. Naruto emerged from the smoke, a mischievous grin on his face, and hurled a sword at Bee. Bee blocked it effortlessly, But then he was taken by surprise as Naruto created 5 clones, who immediately grabbed onto each other's clothing and launched him toward the finish line. "See you two at the bottom." "I'm not paying," Naruto called over his shoulder as his clones propelled him forward. Both Yugito and B muttered curses as they saw Naruto hit the ground first. Chuckling, Naruto slowed to a stop as B and Yugito slid down the mountain. B was the last to arrive, while Yugito stumbled for a brief moment, catching her breath. Was there any real purpose to this? Yugito asked, clearly winded. B shrugged nonchalantly, as did Naruto. Yugito sighed, sweat trickling down her face in mild frustration. Naruto turned to B with a grin, pointing at him. "Looks like you're picking up the tab, B-sensei," Naruto said, and Yugito echoed, "You're paying, B." B groaned and slumped in defeat, his mind already calculating how much money he'd have left after the dinner. He nodded and trudged off, leaving the two alone in the yard. Naruto turned to Yugito, his gaze softening as it traveled down her hair and back up to meet her eyes. "Yugito-chan," he began, his voice low. "Would you spar with me?" Yugito raised an eyebrow, her face unreadable, but she nodded, rising to her feet. Naruto assumed his stance, while Yugito took on her familiar Nico position. "Why do you want to spar, Naruto-kun?" she asked, genuinely curious. Naruto smiled, his gaze momentarily drifting to the ground before meeting hers. "I'm not sure. I just thought it would be nice to spend some quality time with you, Yugito-chan." A faint blush colored Yugito's cheeks, but she nodded, and the two engaged in an intense sparring session, each giving their all. A few hours later, as the sun began to set, both Naruto and Yugito, exhausted from their spar, paused and surveyed the ruined training field. They silently agreed to call it a day. Naruto let out a satisfied sigh and collapsed onto the ground in sheer exhaustion. Yugito approached and lay down beside him. As Naruto turned his head to her, he spoke. "Yugito-chan?" he said softly, trying to catch her attention. She turned to him, a small smile on her face despite the faint sheen of sweat on her skin. "Yes, Naruto-kun?" Naruto chuckled, his gaze drifting toward the sky as he took her hand. "I wasn't joking when I asked if you'd go out with me." Yugito's face flushed, and both Nibi and Kyubi, sensing the shift in the air, perked up with interest. Naruto, undeterred by her silence, continued. "You might think I'm too young for you, but I still care about you. It's because of you that I'm here today, and I just wanted to say that." With that, he stood up, heading off to prepare for the celebration, leaving Yugito to ponder his words. "Great," Yugito muttered under her breath, staring at the sky. He had to say that now. Nibi, her voice laced with amusement, replied, "Well, kitten, it seems he's matured considerably over the past month. You may not want to admit it, but he's no longer a child. He's a young man now, technically an adult. It's time you stopped holding yourself back." Yugito groaned, feeling overwhelmed by the conversation she didn't expect to have. With a resigned sigh, she stood up, preparing to change and join the celebration. In his room, Naruto slumped against the door, lost in thought. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I'm just a kid. What do I know about feelings? He mused, his voice tinged with uncertainty. A voice responded, unexpected but familiar. "Kit, that's a question no one can truly answer," Kyubi said, her voice warm and knowing. "Since you arrived in Kumo, you've matured a lot in just a month. Even if you were still an 8-year-old, you'd probably feel the same way. And let's be honest, this is partly Nibi's and my doing." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean, Kyubi-chan?" Kyubi chuckled awkwardly, scratching the back of her head. "Well, let's just say we've had our influence. But if you ask me, you're doing just fine. The Baiju are naturally drawn to each other when they are near one another. Some get along, while others don't always see eye to eye. Nibi, for example, is my little sister. She has always been someone who prefers close relationships with others and finds it hard to stay away from situations where people are involved. Based on Yugito's actions, I could sense what Nibi might be planning, so I decided to help out a little. Nibi released subtle pheromones that made you feel more comfortable around Yugito, though she didn't notice. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure you like her, but those pheromones could have had an effect on your feelings. Additionally, after you came to Kumo and started eating healthier, I made some small changes to your body. You've become stronger and more agile, and the training they gave you helped as well. That could be another reason for how you're feeling, Kyubi explained. Naruto sighed and leaned back against the door. Though he still had some questions, he understood most of what had happened. So, that's why I feel so drawn to Yugito-chan? Naruto asked. Kyubi smiled knowingly but didn't say much more. It's part of the reason. But you do like her, right? Naruto nodded in understanding, but then asked with curiosity, so, how does Yugito-chan feel about me? Kyubi thought for a moment before answering, I honestly don't know. Naruto shrugged and sighed as he changed into his usual clothes, a red shirt with a black jacket, black jeans, and shinobi shoes. After putting his swords down, he headed for the door to wait for Yugito. A few minutes later, she came down, her hair loosely falling around her shoulders instead of in a ponytail. She wore her usual attire, a mix of shinobi and casual clothing. Ready to go, Yugito-chan? Naruto asked, smiling. Yugito nodded and smiled back. The two of them left the room. They met up with B, who was also casually dressed. The three Jinchuriki made their way to a nearby restaurant, entering to find the place mostly empty. So, we're eating here? Yugito asked, feeling a bit underdressed compared to some of the other people in the restaurant. B chuckled. Yeah. Tonight's about having fun and celebrating. Naruto smiled, while Yugito rolled her eyes playfully but nodded. They sat down at a table and looked over the menu. There are so many choices. I don't even know where to start, Naruto said as he looked over the options. The others nodded and agreed. They put their menus down, and the waiter came to take their orders. I'll have the fried fish with miso soup, Yugito said. I'll go with a steak and fries, Naruto said. B smiled. I'll have the takoyaki with extra seasoning, please. The waiter nodded and left to place their orders. Naruto sipped his water and glanced at his friends across the table, but his eyes lingered on Yugito. He couldn't help but think about Kyubi's conversation earlier. Meanwhile, Yugito was thinking about her feelings as well. Nibi's voice broke the silence in her mind. Admit it, you like him more than you want to let on. Yugito sighed and took a sip of her milk. Naruto-kun is really nice. He's hardworking, kind, and quite the list of good qualities you've got there, Nibi teased. Yugito paused and blushed slightly, looking at her glass. Are there any good guys in Kumo who wouldn't be interested in me just because of how I look? She thought. Nibi smiled. Of course there are, kitten. Yugito raised an eyebrow, curious. Oh? Who do you think that could be? Nibi grinned. Why, Naruto-kun, of course. Yugito sighed but smiled. She decided to play along with Nibi's teasing. So, what would you do if you were to go on a date with Naruto-kun in the future? Nibi's smile grew as she imagined the situation. Well, I'd make sure to show him I cared, but I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. Yugito smiled and shook her head. She couldn't help but laugh at how playful Nibi was being, even if it did make her feel a little flustered. Yugito mentally called out as Nibi decided to pause. Unknowingly, Nibi's face flushed as she contemplated what she was referring to. Yugito also felt a sense of warmth and focused on calming her breathing. Both Naruto and B turned toward her, with Naruto gently placing his hand on her shoulder in a gesture of reassurance. Yugito-chan, are you alright? Naruto asked her. Yugito felt a warm flush spread across her face, making her blush deeply. Kyubi, watching quietly, could see that whatever Nibi was doing was affecting Yugito more than she expected. Naruto raised an eyebrow, noticing a strange scent in the air. Something smells sweet, like honey, Naruto observed, causing B to nod in agreement. Yugito's blush deepened as she continued to feel Naruto's hand resting on her shoulder. Nibi, what's happening? Why do I feel so warm? I can't seem to stop blushing, Yugito asked, her voice tinged with confusion. Nibi gave a nervous laugh before answering. Kitten, the air is filled with pheromones, and you're getting close to losing control. Naruto-kun is younger, so it's not affecting him as much yet, but it will eventually. I just hope you both can handle the rest of the evening, Nibi explained. Yugito sighed in frustration. This evening was turning into a disaster. Naruto, suddenly feeling an odd heat on his face, asked Kyubi, Kyubi-chan, what's going on? Why am I blushing too? Kyubi chuckled lightly. It seems Nibi released too many pheromones, and it's affecting both you and Yugito. B seems to sense something in the air, but he doesn't know what it is. Nibi specifically targeted you too, so you're feeling it the most. Naruto, realizing what was happening, slowly removed his hand from Yugito's shoulder. Her blush faded slightly, though not completely, and they both tried to focus on finishing their meal. B, who had already noticed their unusual behavior, just smiled knowingly, thanks to Hachibi. I'm heading home. I can't eat anymore, B said, laughing as he left the two blondes behind. Both Naruto and Yugito glanced at each other, realizing they had been tricked into an awkward situation. They quickly gathered their things and left the restaurant, walking briskly and ignoring the puzzled looks from passers-by. As they hurried along, Naruto accidentally bumped into a man, causing him to stumble and fall to the ground. Sorry, sir, I'm in a hurry, Naruto apologized, looking up at the man. The man chuckled and patted Naruto on the shoulder. Naruto noticed a large scroll on the man's back. It's all right, kid. By the way, have you heard of someone named Naruto? The man asked with a smile. Naruto blinked in surprise, pointing at himself. Yeah, I'm Naruto. Who are you? He asked. The man's eyes widened, and he suddenly knelt down, pulling Naruto into a gentle hug, his voice thick with emotion. I'm Jiraiya, from Konoha. I've come to take you home, Jiraiya said, his voice filled with warmth. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise at the mention of Konoha. Yugito, sensing something was off, stepped forward with a cautious tone. I'm sorry, but you can't take him. Naruto is a shinobi of Kumo, and you'll need to speak with Raikage-sama before anything else. Jiraiya scratched the back of his head, looking sheepish. Ah, sorry about that. I didn't see the headband. All right, I'll follow you to the Raikage. Reluctantly, Yugito nodded, and both she and Naruto escorted Jiraiya to the Raikage's mansion. At the Raikage's office, Raikage sighed, looking at the piles of paperwork that seemed endless. Mabui entered the room and informed him of the visitors. Raikage-sama, Yugito and Naruto-san have arrived with someone else, Mabui said with a smile. Raikage frowned slightly but nodded, expecting an interesting conversation. As the door opened, Yugito and Naruto stepped in with Jiraiya following behind. Raikage raised an eyebrow as he saw Jiraiya. I figured it wouldn't take too long before they found him, Raikage thought to himself. Raikage-sama, this is Jiraiya, a Sannin from Konoha. He's here to take Naruto-kun back to Konoha, Yugito explained. Raikage sighed, his expression serious. I'm sorry, Jiraiya, but I cannot allow Naruto to leave, Raikage replied firmly. Jiraiya stepped forward, his tone respectful but determined. Raikage-sama, Konoha is Naruto's home. We need him there. I apologize if he's caused any trouble here, but we truly need him back. Naruto raised an eyebrow at Jiraiya's words, wondering where the conversation would go. Raikage's gaze sharpened, and he responded, his voice firm. You need him? Or are you just trying to reclaim him like a lost asset? Naruto told me how he was taken from Konoha without a say in the matter. To me, that seems unfair. Jiraiya nodded, acknowledging Raikage's point. Reikage turned to Naruto. When Konoha expelled you, it gave you the freedom to choose where you belong. Naruto has found happiness here, and I'm willing to let him stay. The decision is his, and you should respect that, Reikage said. Jiraiya looked at Naruto, who was deep in thought. After several moments of silence, Naruto looked up with a smile. Jiraiya, I appreciate that you want me to come home, but a place that doesn't truly want me isn't my home. Here, I've found friends like Yugi-chan, Gigi, and many others. I want to stay in Kumo. I've chosen this path, and I'm proud to wear the Kumo headband, Naruto said firmly. Jiraiya stood silently for a moment, before a small smile appeared on his face, though his heart was heavy. I should have been there for you, Naruto, Jiraiya said with regret. If I hadn't been preoccupied with managing my spy network, I would have brought you with me. It must have been difficult, being alone for so long. I'm sorry for everything. I'll make sure to speak with Gigi on your behalf. I don't mind if you stay here, but one day, let me tell you about your parents. Naruto lowered his gaze, offering a small, understanding smile and a nod as Jiraiya turned to A. Please, allow me to visit him sometimes, Jiraiya requested. I may not have been the godfather I should have been in Konoha, but I'd like to make it up to him, in any way I can. A sighed and massaged his temples before turning to Naruto. So, Naruto, what do you think? I asked. Naruto smiled warmly and nodded as he walked over to Jiraiya, extending his hand. Jiraiya grasped it firmly. I'm excited to get to know you, my godfather, Naruto said earnestly. Jiraiya nodded in response, but paused before leaving. He glanced back at A and Naruto. By the way, when I inform the Hokage, he'll likely be coming over here as well, Jiraiya said. Both Naruto and A nodded, Naruto with a smile, A with an exasperated sigh. Jiraiya chuckled and left. Naruto turned to A with gratitude. Thank you, A Gigi. A gave a small smirk and patted Naruto's shoulder. It's nothing, kid. You're a Kumo shinobi now, and I'll make sure to protect all my shinobi. Naruto nodded and then turned to Yugito. You didn't think I'd leave that easily, did you? He asked, his grin wide. Yugito laughed lightly, walking toward the door. Please, if Naruto-kun left, the house would be too quiet. Naruto raised an eyebrow in playful disbelief. Yugito, with a smirk, turned back to face him and A, both of whom looked confused. I don't like it when it's too quiet, she said casually. Naruto chuckled and then knelt to bring himself closer to A's height. Do you know how to get rid of all that paperwork? A gasped and grabbed Naruto, shaking him gently but with urgency. You know the secret? Tell me now. I'll make sure you never have to do a single D-rank mission in your life, just tell me. Naruto grinned and shook his head. Do you know the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu? A shook his head, puzzled. Naruto sighed dramatically. That's the answer to your problems. I'd be more than happy to teach it to you, A Gigi. A wiped his eyes, overwhelmed with gratitude. Thank you, Naruto? He said, his voice full of emotion. Yugito laughed at the exchange as Naruto chuckled along. Soon, Naruto and Yugito left the mansion, walking down the dirt road back to their home. I'm glad you're not leaving, Yugito said, her voice soft. I know you couldn't live without me, Naruto teased. Yugito flushed slightly, then waved it off. Maybe I would, she murmured under her breath. Nibi's voice suddenly echoed in Yugito's mind. That's right. Who would father your future kittens if you didn't have Naruto-kun? Damn it, Nibi. Yugito blurted, her face turning a deep shade of red as she hurried to catch up with Naruto. The two continued walking, laughter filling the air. The next morning, Naruto slowly woke up, stretching his arms as the warmth of the morning sunlight filled the room. Yesterday had been an eventful day, but there was something about his reunion with his grandfather, Gigi, that lingered on his mind. It wasn't an unpleasant thought, but it left him with a subtle sense of unease, though he quickly pushed it aside. As he lay in bed, an idea for a new katen jutsu suddenly sparked in his mind. He wasn't entirely sure it would work, but he was determined to test it and make it work, no matter what. Alright, time to get going, Naruto murmured to himself, recalling what his Gigi had mentioned about a mission later in the day. I guess I'll look into that jutsu a bit more. Maybe I can pick up some books on katen jutsu in the meantime. He stood up and made his way over to his closet, where he carefully selected his outfit for the day. He chose a black jacket paired with a red sleeveless shirt that concealed the mesh armor beneath it. For his pants, he grabbed a pair of black jeans, completing his look with his trusted shinobi sandals. Lastly, he turned to the two swords given to him by B. The twin blades had become some of his most prized possessions, and he felt a strong connection to them. He'd even named them the previous night. The sword on the left was called Dragon's Claw, and the one on the right was Tiger's Fang. Both swords complemented each other well, just as his Raten chakra did, and Naruto felt a sense of pride each time he strapped them to his side. As Naruto finished getting dressed, the voice of his tenant, Kurama, echoed in his mind, a whistle of approval sounding as it commented on Naruto's choice of attire. Nice outfit, Kit. Are you trying to impress Yugito? Kyubi teased, causing Naruto to blush slightly. He couldn't deny that a part of him wanted to look good for her, but he wasn't entirely sure why. He knew Yugito was important to him, though he wasn't sure of the exact depth of his feelings yet. That's not it, Kyubi-chan. Let's focus on the day ahead, Naruto responded, trying to change the subject. Kyubi chuckled as she watched him. Naruto exited his room, turned left down the hallway, and entered the kitchen, where he found Yugito sitting at the table, eating. She glanced up, taking in his attire before a faint blush appeared on her cheeks. She quickly hid it behind a smile and continued with her meal. Good morning, Naruto-kun, she greeted, causing Naruto to smile in return. Good morning, Yugito-chan. I'm planning to stop by the library to pick up a few books, Naruto said, piquing Yugito's curiosity. Oh? What for? She asked with a sly grin, her interest clearly sparked. As the Jinchuriki of Nibi, she had always been naturally inquisitive, and this only increased her curiosity. It's a secret, Yugito-chan. I'll show you when I'm done, Naruto replied, leaving her with a heightened sense of intrigue. I wonder what he's up to, Yugito thought, though she decided not to press further. She finished her meal, cleared her dishes, and began preparing for a meeting with Raikage-sama. Naruto-kun, I'm going to speak with Raikage-sama about something. I won't be back for a while, but I'll be here before the mission. Please clean up after yourself while I'm gone, she said. Naruto nodded while finishing his rice, his attention briefly catching as Yugito left the house. After a moment, he stood up, placed his dishes in the sink, and summoned a Kage Bunshin to handle the cleaning while he headed out to the library. On the streets of Kumo. Naruto walked through the streets of Kumo, where the usual bustle of the village was quieter than normal. Perhaps people were still resting or working. Either way, Naruto enjoyed the peaceful atmosphere as he twirled a kunai in his hand. So, Kit, what's with the library visit? You don't exactly strike me as the bookish type, Kyubi remarked, her voice laced with amusement. Yeah, well, I'm not really a fan of books. But if I want to make this work, I need to study jutsu theory, Naruto replied, causing Kyubi to raise an eyebrow but say nothing more. The two continued on in silence as Naruto made his way to the library. Kumo Library. Naruto entered the library and approached the receptionist, a middle-aged woman engrossed in a romance novel. He cleared his throat to get her attention. Excuse me, miss, Naruto said, breaking her from her reading. She smiled politely, setting her book aside and leaning forward. Can I help you? She asked. I'm looking for books on jutsu theory. I'm interested in creating my own jutsu and need some resources, Naruto explained. The woman nodded thoughtfully before stepping away from the counter. After a few moments, she returned with several books in hand and placed them on the counter. We have these 5 books on jutsu theory, she explained, pointing to each one. Creating jutsu, jutsu creation for beginners, jutsu creation for intermediate, jutsu creation for experts, and jutsu theory dynamics. Naruto hesitated. A lot of reading would be required, but he knew it was necessary. "How many of these can I borrow?" he asked. "Each person can borrow up to 3 books at a time," the receptionist replied. "Which ones would you like?" Kyubi spoke up from inside his mind. "Take Jutsu Theory Dynamics, Jutsu Creation for Beginners, and Jutsu Creation for Intermediate. The others aren't as relevant right now." Taking her advice, Naruto selected the 3 books and made his way back home, eager to begin his studies. Back at Naruto's house. Upon returning, Naruto saw that his clone had finished the dishes and dispelled. He went into the living room, where he created 3 more clones to study the books. Meanwhile, Naruto decided to focus on his physical training. With B away at a meeting, Naruto found himself alone, though Kyubi's voice quickly filled his mind. "Come on, Kit. Your usual training awaits. Since your kitten isn't here, I'll be supervising," Kyubi called, prompting a resigned sigh from Naruto. He knew he had little choice but to comply. Naruto spent the next half hour running around the house for his warm-up, followed by an hour of push-ups and sit-ups. He worked on his chakra control before creating additional clones to practice his twin sword style and refine the jutsu Bi and Yugito had taught him. It would take time to recover from the exertion, but Naruto knew he would be fine. With Yugito. Yugito had just finished a meeting with Reikage, discussing the details of an important mission, which Bi had also attended. She couldn't help but wonder why Naruto hadn't been included in the meeting. However, Reikage had assured her that his presence wasn't necessary. Explained that their mission would take them to Rice Country to manage foreign relations, with Yugito acting as the negotiator. While Naruto and Bi were designated as her bodyguards, the mission's focus shifted after an informant warned of potential rebel activity, prompting Reikage to adjust the plan and assign a shinobi to handle the negotiations for added security. Yugito sighed as she walked through the mansion's hallways, absorbing all the new information. Suddenly, her stomach growled loudly, making her blush in mild embarrassment. "I might as well grab something to eat before heading home. I wonder what Naruto-kun is up to. Knowing him, he's probably..." "Thinking about you," Nibi interrupted, cutting off Yugito's train of thought. Yugito blinked in surprise, then sighed, too hungry to argue. Nibi, amused by her nonchalant response despite her hunger, allowed Yugito to continue on her way. The thought of her favorite restaurant, known for its exceptional fish, made her quicken her pace. Back at the house, 2 hours later. Naruto lay on the ground, panting and covered in sweat, feeling the cool breeze brush over him. He had been training intensely and was now enjoying a moment of rest. As he lay there, his mind suddenly flashed with new insights. It seemed that he had just discovered something about himself. If he were interested enough, he could finish reading a book in record time. Either that, or the Jutsu Theory Dynamics book had simply been shorter than expected. "That book was pretty interesting," Naruto mused aloud, "though I think I have a slight headache now. But I think I got the gist of it. It wasn't as complicated as I thought." He sat up, reflecting on the material. "Kyubi-chan, can you help me go over some of the memories from the past 2 hours?" he asked. The Kyubi obliged, allowing Naruto to review the memories of his training. "Okay, so first, I need to clearly picture the type of jutsu I want to use, like a fire-style technique. Then, I should work on a specific sequence of hand signs to mold the chakra accordingly. Finally, chakra control and the right amount of chakra are essential for the technique," Naruto observed thoughtfully. "Those are the basics, Kit," Kyubi's voice echoed in his mind. "But there are other factors to consider. Come to the mindscape, and I'll show you an example." Naruto nodded, closing his eyes and focusing on his mindscape. Moments later, he found himself standing before Kyubi in her usual form, ready to demonstrate. "All right, Kyubi-chan, I'm here," Naruto said, though his words faltered as he noticed her appearance. Kyubi raised an eyebrow at his reaction. Is something wrong with my form? I thought it would be the best for illustrating the technique. Naruto stumbled over his words, then sighed. It's fine, Kyubi-chan. What was the example you wanted to show me? Kyubi, looking amused, created a target a few meters away. Alright, Kit, first you need to clearly imagine the jutsu you want. I'm going to show you a fire-style technique. Then, visualize the hand signs. If you're using fire, the tiger sign is essential. After that, you'll focus on the chakra control and the amount of chakra to use. She swiftly performed the hand signs and, with a surge of chakra, unleashed a powerful fire jutsu. Katen, Kitsune Shukaga, Fire Release, Kitsune Flame Dance, Kyubi announced, launching several fox-shaped fireballs at the target, obliterating it with ease. Naruto watched in awe, eyes wide. That's incredible. Kyubi shrugged, her tone casual. It's just as the book described. Though it took 6 chapters to explain something so simple. Thanks, Kyubi-chan, Naruto said, grateful. He jumped into her arms for a hug, which she returned with a chuckle, ruffling his hair. Don't mention it, Kit, Kyubi said fondly. Now, go practice what you've learned. Meanwhile, Naruto's practice session. Feeling motivated by Kyubi's demonstration, Naruto eagerly ventured outside the house to find a secluded spot. He was determined to put his newfound knowledge into practice. Alright, let's see if I can do this, he said to himself, recalling the steps from the mindscape. First, I need to visualize the Katen technique I want to create. He closed his eyes and imagined the fire jutsu in his mind. Now for the hand signs, he continued, performing the sequence while making sure to incorporate the tiger seal as Kyubi had demonstrated. Next, focus on the chakra. Mold it in my stomach and control it carefully, Naruto said as he focused on his breathing. Here we go, Katen. With Yugito. Yugito walked home, a smile on her face and contentment in her heart after a satisfying meal. Eager to check on Naruto before beginning her own training, she made her way home. Suddenly, a loud boom echoed in the distance, causing Yugito to freeze. Her eyes widened, and her mind raced with concern. What was that? Is Naruto okay? She quickly activated chakra in her feet and sprinted toward the sound, gripping a kunai in case of danger. Naruto-kun, please be safe, she whispered, anxiety creeping into her voice. As she neared the house, she couldn't sense any immediate threats, but she quickly dashed toward the door and threw it open. Naruto-kun. Yugito called out, her voice filled with urgency. She searched the house, but he was nowhere to be found. Just then, Nibi, her feline companion, picked up Naruto's chakra signature, leading her further from the house. Yugito followed, only to stop in her tracks at the sight of a crater and a slightly singed Naruto, who appeared to have overexerted himself. Has he been training alone? Without me? Yugito thought, observing him with mixed feelings. Naruto turned to her, offering a sheepish smile. I think I might have overdone it, he said, unaware that both Yugito and Nibi were observing him carefully. Nibi purred, Kami, that boy's going to grow up into quite the man. I can already see it, kitten. He'll be unstoppable. But what in the world did he do out here? Looks like he really pushed himself. Yugito nodded thoughtfully but couldn't suppress a twinge of jealousy. Have I been slacking off? I've never trained that intensely before. I can't let Naruto-kun surpass me. What would that say about me, as the older one? A small fire ignited in her eyes as she resolved to push herself harder. Well, looks like I have some competition, Nibi chuckled, recognizing the challenge that had sparked within Yugito. Naruto stood up and rubbed the back of his head, sheepishly laughing at his own expense. Well, Yugito-chan, I'll see you back at the house. Time for some food and a new shirt, he said, waving as he turned to leave. Yugito watched him go, a sly smile forming on her lips. Her gaze then shifted to the scorched area, and Nibi shuddered. Yes, Nibi? Yugito said, her voice low, as if sensing her companion's unease. What is it, kitten? Nibi asked, cautiously. Yugito's smile widened as she headed toward a nearby rocky area, where she could train undisturbed. I think it's time I stepped up my own training. I'll be damned if I let Naruto-kun outdo me. With her claws sharpened and determination in her eyes, Yugito charged at the rocks, ready to push herself beyond her limits. With Naruto. Back at the house, Naruto quickly swapped out his burned shirt and jacket for a fresh set of clothes. He grabbed a quick lunch, fish sandwiches, miso soup, and a glass of water. Usually, he'd eat more, but he didn't want to overindulge in case Yugito was hungry later. After finishing his meal, he flopped onto the couch, staring up at the ceiling. What did I do wrong? I followed the steps correctly, didn't I? He wondered aloud, frustration building. A familiar chuckle echoed from Kyuubi's voice inside his mind. Well, kid, other than using too much chakra and not managing it properly, that's just part of the process. Don't get too discouraged. Creating new jutsus is all about trial and error, Kyuubi said, still amused, though her tone softened to comfort him. Naruto huffed in mild annoyance but quickly stood up. Guess it's back to work then. No rest for the weary, right? He summoned Tenkage Bunshine to assist him in his training. However, as he heard the sounds of Yugito training nearby, he couldn't resist the urge to join her. Hey, Yugito-chan, how about a sparring match? He called out. Yugito paused, wiping the sweat from her brow, and turned to him with a grin. Sure, Naruto-kun, but don't expect me to go easy on you. I'm not planning to lose. Naruto chuckled and drew his weapons, Dragon's Claw and Tiger's Fang. Sorry, Yugi-chan, but I'm going to win this one, and you're the one eating dirt, he said, charging at her. Yugito's grin widened as she unsheathed a kunai and prepared for the clash. We'll see about that, Naruto-kun, she countered, meeting his charge with her own as the two sparred through the day. 5 hours later, in Kumo, B arrived at the house to pick up Naruto and Yugito for their mission. However, they were nowhere to be found. Humph, where are those two? They're gonna be late for the mission, B muttered, rapping as he went along, while the Eight-Tails groaned in response, but remained silent. B continued his search around the house, but soon sensed that Naruto and Yugito were outside. He made his way around and eventually came across a battered training area, where he found Naruto and Yugito fast asleep on the ground. Hey, you two, wake up. Or else the great B-sama will have to show you what's up. B called out, causing both Naruto and Yugito to slowly open their eyes, taking in the sight of B standing before them. What were you two up to? B inquired. Both individuals exchanged glances and smiled. Training, they replied in unison, which made B grin. So, who won? B asked. They looked at each other, then back at B before rolling their eyes. It was a tie. Can we go now? Yugito said, springing to her feet. Naruto followed suit, and the three Jinchuriki made their way toward the house to complete their mission. Alright, do we all understand the mission? Yugito asked. Naruto and B both nodded, and they proceeded toward the door. Together, they left Kumo, passing through the gates before disappearing from the village. The journey to Rice Country would take 2 to 3 days, and along the way, they were bound to encounter unforeseen challenges. Meanwhile, back in Konoha, life in the village had returned to a sense of normalcy. While the death of the so-called demon was still occasionally celebrated, the frequency had lessened. However, the Konoha Council was in turmoil. New information from Jiraiya's travels had sent them into a panic. You found the Kyuubi brat? Where is he? We need him back now. Koharu, Sarutobi's former colleague, demanded, slamming her hands on the table. Jiraiya rolled his eyes and turned to Sarutobi. Sarutobi-sensei, I strongly advise we leave Naruto alone. He's in Kumagakure, and truthfully, it's a much better place for him than here, Jiraiya retorted, causing an uncomfortable silence in the room. Jiraiya, you're being reckless. Why didn't you bring him back with you? Kumo already has 2 Jinchuriki, and now they have 3. They could easily become the most powerful nation in the world. What's stopping them from declaring war against us right now? Danzo shouted, his voice filled with anger. Jiraiya's ki flared briefly, but he restrained his temper as best as he could. Why should we bring back that demon? If he's gone, it's actually better for this village. We won't have to worry about being destroyed every night, a civilian chimed in. Perhaps you fail to realize, but we've just lost a significant portion of our military strength. Now Kumo possesses that power. They are the most formidable nation in the world. Damn it, Sarutobi. This is why I insisted on training the boy. He would have been an invaluable asset, and now we're left with nothing, Danzo bellowed. Sarutobi clenched his teeth and turned his gaze to Danzo. It was my understanding that Naruto was taken from us by 2 of our own shinobi. What could I have done? I can't keep track of Naruto 24/7, Sarutobi shot back. Enough. Sume, Hiyashi, and Shikaku shouted in unison. Everyone stopped and turned to look at the 3 clan heads, with particular surprise directed at Shikaku and Hiyashi. Naruto is gone. This is our fault, regardless of who took him. This village never appreciated him, and now we are paying the price for that. If we are invaded and destroyed, we will only have ourselves to blame, Shikaku reasoned. Are you out of your mind, Shikaku? If anything, we should invade Kumo and bring the boy back right now. Homura screamed. No. Naruto is happy in Kumo. They treat him far better than we ever did. As far as I know, he holds no resentment toward Konoha. He simply wants to be a good shinobi for Kumo, and I intend to honor that wish, Jiraiya stated firmly. Sume, Shibi, Shikaku, and Kwuza all nodded in agreement. He's our weapon. He should be with us, not under the greedy grasp of the Raikage. Knowing him, he'll invade us before long, Koharu yelled. The civilian council remained silent, feeling small in the face of the argument. No one dared to challenge the truth that Naruto's departure felt like the right decision for him. He isn't a weapon. He is a person, just like you and me. He laughs, cries, gets angry, and enjoys life just as we do. He is no different from us, but I'm starting to wonder who the real demons are, Jiraiya admonished, causing the room to fall into stunned silence. Suddenly, Sarutobi spoke, drawing everyone's attention. Jiraiya, may I see Naruto? Sarutobi asked. Jiraiya sighed and shrugged. You'd have to speak with the Raikage, but if Naruto is agreeable, I don't see a problem, Jiraiya replied. Sarutobi gave a small smile and rose from his seat. I will go to Kumo. I'll take Jiraiya and Kakashi with me. This meeting is adjourned, Sarutobi declared before leaving the room. Everyone followed suit, though Danzo scowled. I won't let Kumo take our weapon. Sarutobi, you are a fool. I will bring him back, by force, if necessary, Danzo muttered, vanishing into the shadows. 2 days later, Naruto, Yugito, and B. The 3 Jinchuriki had made significant progress on their journey to Rice Country, their pace steady and efficient. Over the past 2 days, Naruto had seized every opportunity to practice his jutsu, though it was still a work in progress. While he had managed to prevent the technique from exploding prematurely, the fire he produced was small and still required fine-tuning. Despite this, he was determined to perfect it on his own, hoping to impress Yugito with his abilities rather than ask for her help. As the second day came to a close, the sun dipped below the horizon. We should rest here for the night. If we keep going, we'll wear ourselves out, he suggested, his voice calm but firm. Both Naruto and Yugito grumbled but reluctantly agreed, setting up camp. Naruto gathered water, while Yugito went to catch fish, but as usual, both wandered off in different directions. He couldn't help but smile, noting how their individual quests for strength seemed to drive them forward. He had also noticed that Yugito's interest in improving had intensified since Naruto joined them. Lil 9 has really sparked something in Yugi-chan, he mused to himself. She won't admit it, but I can tell. Yugi-chan's got a soft spot for him. Meanwhile, with Naruto. Frustration mounted as Naruto struggled to control his jutsu. He couldn't help but curse his lack of progress. The fire technique refused to obey him, either exploding too soon or fizzling out before it had any real impact. Despite his determination, he couldn't seem to master the control needed. Come on, Kit. It's a process, like I told you. Keep at it. It takes time, focus, and don't forget to breathe, QB advised from within. Naruto slumped in frustration. He had been concentrating, breathing, and exerting all his effort, yet it wasn't enough. But then, as if struck by inspiration, his thoughts clicked. Breathe? Separate breaths? Don't blow it all at once, he muttered to himself. His eyes lit up with excitement as the realization hit him. QB-chan, you might just be the smartest thing alive. Naruto exclaimed, his voice filled with excitement. QB blinked, slightly taken aback by his sudden outburst. Thanks? What did I say that was so great? QB responded, a little confused. Naruto grinned, closing his eyes as he visualized the technique in his mind. He could almost feel the chakra swirling inside him as he formed the necessary hand signs. Picture the jutsu in your mind. Mold the chakra with your hand signs, keeping the image fixed. Draw the chakra to your center, shape it with intent, and guide it toward your throat, Naruto thought, his focus sharp as he took a slow, deliberate breath. Now. Exhale. Katen, Hisatsu Kasai no Raiga. Naruto shouted, releasing the spiraling inferno toward the trees. The flames roared to life, tearing through the foliage and leaving an explosion in their wake. Kyuubi's eyes widened in astonishment, watching the display of raw power. From a distance, both Yugito and B heard the explosion and wondered what had happened. I did it. I really did it. Naruto shouted, his joy evident as he celebrated the successful execution of his first fully mastered jutsu. Naruto bounded around the field in jubilant celebration, wearing one of the brightest smiles of his young life. His excitement was well deserved, as he had just accomplished something incredible. He had successfully created his own jutsu. With Kyuubi's guidance, Naruto had managed to make his technique work flawlessly. Kyuubi-chan, did you see that? I did it. I created my own jutsu. Naruto exclaimed, still bouncing with enthusiasm. Kyuubi chuckled at her container's infectious excitement, feeling a rare sense of pride. For an 8-year-old, his Katen jutsu was impressive, likely surpassing the strength of a typical C-rank technique. I saw it, Kit. Well done, Kyuubi replied. But tell me, how did you manage it? Naruto paused his celebrations, a wide grin spreading across his face as he explained. Well, Kyuubi-chan, it was all about the breathing. I hadn't been breathing enough before. I was using just a small amount of air, thinking that would work, but it never did. Yugito-chan taught me that Katen jutsu requires a lot of oxygen to be effective. I completely forgot that detail, but when you told me to breathe, it reminded me of her lessons, and everything just clicked. Kyuubi laughed softly, clearly pleased with his progress. Just as Naruto was about to head back to camp, he noticed B and Yugito approaching, clearly curious. Naruto-kun, what was that explosion we heard? Yugito asked, her tone a mix of concern and intrigue. Naruto flashed a knowing grin, which seemed to only further irritate her, though B appeared to understand. He recalled that Naruto had worn a similar expression when he had first unlocked his own jutsu. The young boy never ceased to amaze. He's even younger than you were when you first mastered your jutsu, Hachibi remarked, causing B to feign shock. Hey, Hachi, don't be so harsh or I'll have to beat you like a drum, B quipped, leaving Hachibi wondering why he hadn't strangled his host yet. Meanwhile, Yugito, intrigued by Naruto's smile, pondered its meaning. Nibi had an inkling but wanted Yugito to figure it out herself. It amused Nibi how much more fun Yugito seemed to have ever since Naruto arrived. Watching Yugito glare at Naruto, Nibi couldn't help but smile to herself. What's going on, Naruto-kun? Yugito finally asked, unable to mask her curiosity. Naruto maintained his grin and motioned for them to step back. Both Yugito and B raised their eyebrows but complied. With swift precision, Naruto formed a series of hand signs before shouting, "Katen, Hisatsu Kasai no Raiga." A torrent of fire erupted from his hands, spiraling toward a massive boulder in the distance, obliterating it in a fiery explosion. Yugito and B stared in shock, the flames unlike anything they had ever seen. As a Katen expert, Yugito had trained in numerous fire jutsu, but none had quite the same impact. As Naruto walked back toward them, Yugito grabbed his shoulders, still reeling from the display. "How did you do that? Where did you learn it? Can you teach it to me?" She bombarded him with questions. Naruto simply grinned wider, enjoying the surprise on her face. He always found joy in astonishing her. "All right, Yugito-chan, in order, I'm sure you already understand how it works, you're a Katen master. As for learning it, I didn't, I created it. And yes, I can teach you if you want," Naruto answered, unaware of the weight his words carried. He created his own jutsu? That's at least a high C rank, maybe even low B rank. I haven't even done that yet. Yugito thought, her mind racing. "Alright, Naruto-kun, I'm in. I'm not going to let you get ahead of me," she said, her competitive spirit ignited. Nibi, watching the exchange, smirked. "Great, I'm not sure if I'm witnessing a rivalry or a crush here. Oh well, either way, Naruto-kun will definitely enjoy this." After a brief explanation from Naruto about his progress over the past few days, B and Yugito expressed admiration for his growth. They even suggested he inform A, so the jutsu could be archived. Imagine the commotion when people learned that an 8-year-old had created a B-rank Katen technique. "That was incredible, Naruto-kun. How did you come up with such a jutsu?" Yugito asked, still in awe. Naruto explained that it was his long-standing dream to develop his own fire technique. He added that he had spent time at the library studying jutsu theory, which had given him the foundation for his creation. Yugito mentally noted this, intrigued by his dedication. "Alright, little Nine-Tails, you're the man. But we need to rest, or we'll be late," he said, a hint of amusement in his voice. Naruto and Yugito nodded, and all three returned to their campsite to rest before the next day. The next morning, Yugito awoke with a stretch, yawning as she glanced around her tent. Her gaze landed on Naruto's peaceful face, only inches from her own. A faint blush crept onto her cheeks at how adorable he looked while asleep. He was always a handsome boy, but there was something calming about his sleeping form, the soft breeze gently tousling his hair, lending him an almost serene appearance that contrasted with his usual energy. For a moment, she forgot he was a Jinchuriki like herself. "He's really handsome when he's sleeping." "I could just," Nibi began, but Yugito cut her off with an eye roll. "Hey, Nibi," Yugito called out. "What is it, kitten?" Nibi responded, sounding amused. Yugito gently brushed a strand of Naruto's hair aside as she watched him breathe softly. "Do you think Naruto-kun knows what it feels like to have a crush?" Nibi raised an eyebrow, surprised by the question, but answered thoughtfully, "I'm sure he does, kitten. He probably had someone in Konoha he liked, but I don't know for sure. What I do know is that he's starting to see you in that way. He may be young, but he's far more mature than most his age, especially after everything he's been through. Plus, he's shown you his cooking and cleaning skills, which is more than a lot of boys can say." Yugito sighed, processing Nibi's words. She stood, brushed her hair, and put on her shoes. Moments later, he emerged from his tent, followed by a sleepy Naruto dressed in black, with purple stripes on his pants, an apparent result of Yugito's influence. After a quick breakfast, the trio gathered for their final briefing. "Alright, we're about 4 to 5 hours away from Rice Country. Keep in mind, Kumo and Rice aren't exactly on the best terms, so we need to stay cool, you fools." Be advised, earning nods from both Naruto and Yugito. Yugito was a bit anxious, as she wasn't exactly the best negotiator, but she knew how important the mission was, and how crucial it was to avoid any potential conflict. Let's get moving. We can't waste time, Naruto said, gathering his swords. The group quickly set off for their destination, navigating through the trees. As they ran, Yugito decided to learn more about Naruto. She already knew a lot, but there were still things that intrigued her. "Hey, Naruto-kun," Yugito called, drawing his attention. "Hello, Yugito-chan," Naruto greeted, his voice warm. Yugito hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to approach the topic. She wondered if asking about Naruto's past might affect their relationship. As she pondered, Naruto noticed her internal struggle. It was evident she was wrestling with something, and he couldn't help but wonder what was troubling her. The sight of her unease only deepened his concern for her, stirring feelings he couldn't easily dismiss. "Naruto-kun," Yugito finally spoke, her voice soft but clear. Naruto met her gaze, his vibrant blue eyes locking with hers as she continued. "Would you mind sharing more about Konoha in your life? You've been in Kumo for over a month now, and I want to understand you better. You don't have to tell me if it's too painful, I just thought I'd ask." Naruto's expression shifted subtly, his once vibrant eyes darkening with a hint of coldness. He turned his attention to the passing trees, lost in thought. It was a difficult topic, one that stirred old wounds. He felt conflicted, not wanting to dwell on such painful memories but also curious about her reasons for asking. Despite his hesitation, her desire to understand him touched him more than he wanted to admit. He trusted her, more than anyone else, and he knew she wouldn't judge him. "All right, Yugito-chan. It's not much of a story, but I'll tell you," Naruto finally said, his voice quieter than usual. Yugito nodded, eager yet patient, while Bi and the respective Baijuwu listened in. Nibi and Hachibi were particularly attentive, though Kyubi, within her cage, recoiled slightly, unsure of what to expect. Naruto began recounting his early life, describing it as a constant struggle for survival. He spoke of the harshness with which people treated him, the cruel glares, the unfair treatment, and how he'd been beaten simply for existing. Yugito clenched her fists in anger at the injustices he faced, while Bi's expression darkened in sympathy. Nibi and Hachibi shared similar sentiments, with Nibi already thinking of ways to exact retribution. Naruto continued, describing the friends he had once hoped would be there for him, only to be left abandoned. He even mentioned his unrequited crush on a girl named Sakura, which brought a faint, wry smile to Yugito's lips as she scowled at the mention of the other woman. Naruto explained that his feelings had been rejected, and that Sakura had often belittled him. His birthday, a time meant for celebration, had always been a painful reminder of his isolation. He reflected on how he had barely survived those harsh nights, crediting Kyubi for helping him pull through, which caused the vixen to blush slightly, not used to such praise. 2 hours passed before Yugito, her voice tinged with concern, asked, "Naruto-kun, did you ever experience any happiness at all?" Naruto chuckled softly at the question, though it was clear she was deeply serious. "Yes, there were a few bright spots," he said. "Iruka-sensei, who taught me during the academy days. Hokage Jiji, Tsuchiyoji-san, and Ayame-chan, they ran the best ramen shop. Those 4 were always kind to me. After them, there wasn't really anyone. Except for you, Yugito-chan," he added, causing Yugito to blush. Bi chuckled, but Yugito shot him a glare, which made him fall silent. "Thank you, Naruto-kun," she replied softly. "I understand what it feels like to be alone and despised. The only reason I'm here today is because of Bi, the Raikage, Samui, Karo, and Amoe." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Who are those last 3? Have I met them?" Yugito shook her head, smiling slightly. "No, you haven't. Samui tends to keep to herself, but she's known for her kindness. Karo? Well, she's the loud one. And Amoe is the laid-back one. He's more suited to civilian life, but he's very skilled in kenjutsu, just like you," she explained. Naruto smirked, intrigued by the thought of meeting these 3. His excitement grew as they continued walking toward Rice Country, the landscape changing as they neared their destination. After 4 hours of travel, the signs of Rice Country came into view. The trio entered the village, with Yugito walking between Naruto and B. "Halt! State your status and purpose," a Chunin called out as they approached. The three flashed their identification papers, and Yugito explained they were there for negotiations between Kumo and Rice Country. The Chunin nodded and led them to the hotel where the meeting would take place. Meanwhile, in Kumo, Reikage and Mabui sat in the Reikage's office, awaiting the arrival of their guests. Aside, placing his elbows on the table. He knew this moment was inevitable, but he wished it hadn't come while Naruto was away on a mission. "Well, Hokage Dono," I said, looking at Sarutobi, "to what do I owe the pleasure of your visit?" Sarutobi bowed his head slightly in response. "Greetings, Reikage Dono. I apologize for the sudden intrusion, but I would like to speak with Naruto Uzumaki." Mabui narrowed her eyes, her gaze sharpening as she observed the exchange. Kakashi, standing beside Sarutobi, tensed slightly under her scrutiny, though he knew she was simply doing her duty as the Reikage's assistant. "I regret to inform you, Hokage Dono," I responded, "but Naruto Uzumaki is currently on a mission and won't be back for another 2 to 3 days. Jiraiya, who had accompanied Sarutobi, gave a small, knowing smile. He understood why Sarutobi had come, but he also knew that Tsunade would be upset when she learned the truth, that Naruto was alive. If she had known, she would have remained in Konoha, but that wasn't the case now. "Reikage Dono, may I kindly request that we be provided with accommodations until Naruto Uzumaki's return?" Sarutobi inquired respectfully. Reikage, narrowing his eyes, gave a brief nod and gestured for Mabui to handle the paperwork. Mabui acknowledged the request and began writing in her notepad, while Sarutobi, Jiraiya, and Kakashi departed the room. As soon as they left, Mabui turned toward Reikage with a sharp gaze. "Reikage-sama, why are we allowing them to stay?" "You're aware they are likely here to take Naruto from Kumo," Mabui said, her voice slightly raised in concern. She had grown fond of Naruto, considering him like the younger brother she never had. He was also one of the most entertaining people she knew. On his free days, he often helped her with paperwork, and she appreciated his use of shadow clones, which made the work so much more manageable. Mabui was determined not to let Konoha take him from Kumo, and Reikage was fully aware of her feelings. "Relax, Mabui. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. No matter what they say, Naruto is a Kumo shinobi. Unless I hear him say, 'I no longer wish to stay in Kumo,' I will not allow anyone to take him." Moreover, Sarutobi would never risk a conflict over Naruto, Reikage reassured her. Mabui nodded, feeling more at ease, and left to complete the necessary documentation. Meanwhile, Reikage leaned back in his chair, gazing out the window. "It's certainly become more lively with him around. At least he makes Kumo more interesting," Reikage muttered to himself before summoning 2 shadow clones to assist him with his paperwork. Meanwhile, with Naruto, Yugito, and B. The trio had reached their hotel and settled in their rooms. While the accommodations weren't luxurious, they were adequate for their purposes. After unpacking, they gathered in B's room to review their plans for the upcoming meeting. "The meeting starts late tonight. Naruto, I want you in the room with Yugi-chan while she handles the client. We need to stay cautious in case things get complicated," B said, rapping in his unique style. Naruto turned to Yugito for clarification. "Basically, Naruto-kun, you'll stay with me during the negotiations and act if you notice anything suspicious," Yugito translated. Naruto nodded in agreement, understanding his role. B continued. "While Naruto's in the meeting, I'll be on the roof, keeping watch for any potential threats," B added. Naruto acknowledged the plan, knowing it was vital to stay alert. The team then went their separate ways to survey their surroundings. B walked off, jotting down notes in his small book, while Naruto headed to the local library to search for books on wind-based jutsu. Yugito, on the other hand, went into the nearby woods to train, as she felt there were areas of her abilities that needed improvement. With Naruto. After leaving the library empty-handed, Naruto couldn't hide his disappointment. He had hoped to find a book on wind techniques, but the library lacked what he needed. Despite his extensive knowledge of lightning and fire-style techniques, which he had learned from Bee and Yugito, Naruto had been unable to find anyone to teach him wind-based jutsu. Frustrated, he wandered the town for a while, observing the various people around him, many of whom seemed suspicious. As he walked past an alleyway, a conversation caught his attention. "Are all the preparations complete?" asked one of the men, his tone low. Naruto, instinctively cautious, leaned against the wall and peeked around the corner. Two men stood there, one was as tall as Bee, and the other slightly taller than Yugito. Both appeared to be either bandits or rogue shinobi, though their immediate intentions weren't clear. "Yeah, boss, everything's ready. Can you believe Kumo actually came here? I never liked them, or Konoha. I can't wait to teach those Kumo shinobi a lesson. And the woman, she was pretty cute. Wonder how much she's worth?" the younger man said, his voice laced with malice. Naruto's anger flared at the remark. He had learned from Bee and Yugito that the shinobi world was fraught with danger, and people like these were unfortunately common. Though Naruto didn't fully understand their exact plans at that moment, he recalled a conversation with Mabui that helped him piece things together. Whether she earns a significant amount or not is irrelevant. Keep that in mind. Still, it's hard to believe our contractor is actually the daimyo of the country. He must have a deep-seated animosity toward Kumo to go this far, but that's not our concern. What's important is that we eliminate the 3 targets before the meeting begins, and that's still a long time away, the older individual stated ominously to the younger. "Well, looks like I have some work to do," Naruto said, startling both men. Upon seeing the Kumo headband, both narrowed their eyes and smirked. "So, the brat's been spying on us, huh?" one of them remarked. Naruto simply smiled, drawing 2 swords and taking up a basic kenjutsu stance. "Don't think I'm going to let you two walk away after hearing all that," Naruto said confidently. The 2 men chuckled, and the elder one snapped his fingers. At that signal, 10 more figures emerged, armed with clubs, wires, and broadswords. Naruto grinned at the overwhelming odds, 12 against 1. He wasn't concerned, though, he would turn the tables. "All right, let me ask you all something. What does a fox do when it's cornered?" Naruto asked, surveying the group. When none of the men responded and instead advanced on him, Naruto's grin widened. "It calls for reinforcements," he declared. "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." Instantly, 12 clones appeared, each wielding their own sword. The men hesitated, a few showing signs of nervousness. Naruto charged forward, and a fierce battle erupted on the outskirts of the town. Meanwhile, with Yugito. Yugito was in the forest, refining her taijutsu. She had recently discovered something intriguing. As the Jinchuriki of Nibi, she was granted an extraordinary sense of balance. Falling was a rare occurrence for her, a fact she had previously attributed to her reflexes. However, she soon realized that this natural balance was enhancing her taijutsu, allowing her to incorporate more fluidity into her movements. Nibi observed her training with a mix of curiosity and amusement, wondering what exactly drew Yugito to Naruto as a rival. Still, she had no intention of letting this moment slip by unnoticed. "So, kitten," Nibi teased as Yugito sent 3 kunai flying toward a tree, planting them in ascending order. "Now that you've found yourself a rival, what are you going to do about it?" Yugito paused her training, wiping the sweat from her brow before leaning against a tree. "What do you mean, Nibi?" Nibi's eyes glinted with mischief. "Now that you have something in common with Naruto-kun, are you planning to confess your feelings to him?" she asked. Yugito narrowed her eyes at the suggestion and sighed. It was clear Nibi was picking up on something, but the woman was definitely seeing patterns where none existed. "Nibi, let's not revisit this topic," Yugito replied, exasperated. But before she could continue, she suddenly turned her head sharply to the right. Her senses tingled with a massive chakra signature emanating from the town. "Naruto-kun," she murmured under her breath. With no time to lose, she sprinted toward the town, determined to investigate. Back with Naruto. Naruto grunted as he knocked another bandit out with the back of his sword. The group was tough, and though he had the advantage, he was finding it increasingly difficult to keep up. It turned out that one of the men was a rogue shinobi, a significant threat who surpassed Naruto's skill. The others were mere pawns in his scheme. Barely managing to avoid a punch to the face, Naruto performed a backflip to put some distance between himself and the remaining enemies. "Looks like I still need more training," Naruto muttered to himself, sensing Kyuubi's quiet approval, as if she were grinning inside his mind. "You're not bad, Gaki, but now it's time to get serious," the leader declared, forming a series of hand seals. Naruto glanced around, noticing the numerous bystanders. He couldn't afford for anyone to be caught in the crossfire. Thinking quickly, a smirk tugged at his lips. The blonde shinobi skillfully dodged the oncoming water dragon, leaping effortlessly onto the rooftops. Without hesitation, he dashed toward the forest, leading his pursuers away from the village. Moments later, Yugito and B arrived in the streets, taking in the destruction left behind. "B, did you feel Naruto's chakra?" Yugito asked, a hint of worry in her voice. B nodded, and they both tried to locate Naruto's chakra, but it was gone. Either he was hiding it, or something had happened to him, and both hoped it was the first option. Meanwhile, Naruto had brought the extra members onto the field, but they surrounded him, and he still had the mysterious shinobi to face. "I have to do something now," Naruto thought to himself. "Yugito-chan and B-sensei can't fight by my side all the time. I'll figure something out." But as he spoke, the enemies laughed, and one stepped forward. "You really think you can stop us, kid?" One of them taunted, but Naruto stood firm. "I don't need to fight all of you," Naruto said, pointing to the shinobi in the middle of the group. "I'll take on that guy." The group burst into laughter, but Naruto wasn't backing down. "You think you can beat Hiryu-sama? You must be joking," one of the men sneered. But Naruto's grin didn't fade. "Well, you've got guts, I'll give you that," Hiryu said, stepping forward. He seemed to grow serious, his hands glowing with energy. Naruto, however, wasn't afraid. He was determined. "I won't give up. Not until I reach my goal and become the Raikage," Naruto shouted, charging forward. The two faced off, their movements fast and focused. Naruto knew that this battle wouldn't be easy. Hiryu was stronger, but Naruto had his own strengths, too. As they clashed, both of them exchanged quick attacks and parries, the tension rising in the air. Hiryu grinned and began forming hand seals, preparing a new technique. Naruto, recognizing the danger, quickly did the same. "Water Dragon Technique." Hiryu called out, and a massive water dragon surged toward Naruto. But Naruto didn't hesitate. "Fire Release, Flame Wave," he shouted, summoning a powerful wave of fire to counter the water dragon. The two forces clashed, and the field was soon covered in mist. Visibility was low, but Naruto knew he had to stay calm and think quickly. This mist, while hindering his sight, was filled with water, an opportunity for him to use his abilities strategically. Hiryu searched the mist, calling out, "Come on, kid, show yourself." Naruto, moving swiftly, prepared his next move. As Hiryu charged forward, Naruto surprised him, using his quick reflexes and clever tactics to outmaneuver the larger shinobi. Hiryu, momentarily caught off guard, tried to respond, but Naruto was always one step ahead. Suddenly, Naruto used his cleverness to take control of the situation. As he dodged and weaved, he formed a new plan. He quickly made hand signs and shouted, "Thunderclap." With a burst of energy, he released a surge of electricity, creating a flash of light that startled Hiryu, giving Naruto the chance to escape the mist and regroup. The mist began to clear, revealing that Hiryu had been caught off guard. Naruto, still determined and focused, took a deep breath. "I won't stop until I become the Raikage," he said firmly to himself. Just then, Yugito and B appeared, landing in front of Naruto, ready to protect him. Naruto-kun, are you okay? Yugito asked gently, noticing the confusion and exhaustion in his eyes. Naruto nodded, though he still looked troubled. He had been through a lot, but he knew he couldn't give up. I'm fine, Naruto said, though he was still deep in thought. But I wasn't sure what to do there. He hesitated for a moment, unsure of himself. B stepped forward, cracking a smile. Don't worry, Lil Nine, you did good. You're learning to stand on your own, and that's what counts. His words were comforting, and Naruto couldn't help but smile back. Yugito placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. You've got this, Naruto-kun. We believe in you. Naruto smiled, feeling a renewed sense of confidence. Thanks, everyone. I'm not going to stop until I make my dream come true. With their support, Naruto knew he wasn't alone, and together, they could face anything that came their way. Kitten, he's just experienced his first significant challenge. Once this is over, you should have a word with him, Nibi suggested to her container, as B swiftly handled the rest of the situation. Suddenly, Naruto's face contorted in distress, and tears began to stream down his cheeks. Both Yugito and B could sense the depth of his anguish. However, their concern deepened as they noticed a surge of red chakra enveloping him. Kyubi struggled to keep her chakra from overwhelming Naruto's system, but the flow was too intense, and she soon lost control. Naruto-kun, please calm down. Kyubi called out, but her words came too late. Naruto's features began to change, his claws sharpened, his whiskers became more pronounced, and his hair stood on end. A mixture of intense emotion, frustration, sadness, and confusion filled him, but his gaze shifted to Yugito and B, his eyes now sharp and unsettling. Ah! Naruto cried out, his voice filled with turmoil, as he rushed toward them, his inner conflict palpable. That's all for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this one and found it entertaining. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Thank you all for your support, it means the world to me. Stay tuned, and keep chasing those anime dreams.